Ooh, what do I do? Delete.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is June 7th, 2021. This is episode 347. And today, ominous ANONYMUSK. And razzle dazzle, I'm your best buddy Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And coming off of an interesting weekend, I was trying to catch the Mayweather-Logan Paul fight last night. Did you watch some boxing, some fisticuffs?
No, I did not watch it, no. But I was sort of keeping track of the fact that it existed. Did you catch it? What was the deal?
No, you know what I think is hilarious? I'm not going to pay whatever it was, $100 to watch it on Showtime or whatever. But it's interesting when you go on social media, you can see a bunch of people either broadcasting it, from the back of the living room where they can kind of get away with it for a little while. Or the one I thought was brilliant was there were some people wearing sunglasses and they would reflect from the TV or the computer screen, and you can watch a little bit of it. But the problem was people who labeled it, the big fight, Mayweather versus Paul, they got shut down pretty quickly. But a lot of hugging, a lot more hugging than I thought was going to happen on that fight, or at least from what I saw. Yeah, but ended up in a draw, which I guess because there's no...
Well, that's no fun.
Well, it's because it's an exhibition. If it was an actual judge, Mayweather would have won because he landed, half of his punches, whereas Logan Paul landed like a tenth of all his punches. But anyway,
okay.
Here's my
deep
stats. Here's kind of my pitch to you, Basil.
No,
it's become a thing, for like YouTubers to start or to like do these big fights. Mm-hmm. What do you say? You and I, maybe not you versus I, but you and I tag team. Like the Bushwhackers back in the day in WWF.
Sure.
And we call out some other podcasters in our niche to some kind of fight.
Maybe if it's a giant robot battle. I think we need to have some mech suits.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know.
We have two separate mech suits, and then during the last round of the fight, our mech suits combine to make a giant tiger mech suit.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know the kind of audience we would grab. We're trying to appeal to the normies out there who otherwise wouldn't know who we are,
Yeah.
I don't know that
we got to get that Joe Rogan crowd.
Yeah, right. So anyway, just an idea. If anybody in the chat, I see some people in the chat mentioning call for an uprising. He's one guy, though. We need to find somebody with like two guys.
It's too aggressive, man.
Why?
Maybe we could esports. We got to bring it into esports. I don't want to hurt anybody or get hurt. Not only because I've, never taken a karate class in my life and would have no idea what I'm doing, but throw me on a Overwatch tourney. Oh, I'll take you down, Joe Rogan.
I know. Taking down Rogan seems to be the play.
I bet I'm way better at video games than Rogan.
I don't know.
All right. Enough about Rogan.
Yeah, you brought him up, dude. You're the one bringing up Rogan.
The chat did. The chat was talking about it. But even better, let's talk about Flippy.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, it's time for the Flippy update. For those who might be new to the show, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new and fun and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and just how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, got an article here from dailymail.co.uk, and the headline reads, "Good boy, Boston Dynamics robot dog can now play the world's slowest game of fetch." It goes like this. Boston Dynamics mechanical dog Spot is billed as a utility robot able to perform a variety of tasks, from navigating dangerous terrain to carrying heavy payloads to enslaving mankind and patrolling the streets for insubordination. And now the robotics company has demonstrated that it can also play the world's least thrilling game of fetch. Using a Spot model equipped with a robotic arm attachment. We got a flippy Spot combo here. Boston Dynamics has released a tutorial showing how owners of the four-legged machine can teach it to pick up a thrown toy and to return it to the thrower. The process involves taking advantage of robots' machine learning capabilities to recognize and interact with objects in the environment around it. And the tutorial shows users how they can train the machine to see the toy. The tutorial calls for the user to capture at least 400 images of the rope toy in a specific environment to ensure it can recognize it from a variety of angles. If they would like Spot to play fetch elsewhere, say outside or in the living room, they would need to repeat the process again for each new environment. Oh my gosh. You got to throw this rope 400 times in each new environment for Spot to even be able to recognize it. The result is a very slow facsimile of the activity favored by the machine's flesh and blood and inspiration. As the robot dog slowly inches up to the toy, it picks it up with its arm, turns and walks to the owner to drop it off before backing away. And we got some video here, and it's probably the least exciting video of Spot the robot dog. But let's finish it out here. The company acknowledges that someone might have more fun playing fetch with a living and breathing dog. The Spot has a top speed. Yeah, right. In a moment of flash inspiration, Boston Dynamics realizes dogs are better than robots. The Spot has a top speed of 3 miles per hour, and at $74,500 per robot, plus the cost of the robotic arm attachment, a real dog would seem the cheaper and better choice for the game, but notes that teaching the robot fetch demonstrates a number of potential applications. Quote, "Of course, we don't expect to see Spot regularly playing fetch in the park, but these same features serve as the basis for more practical applications. For example, automated roadside trash cleanup," said Andrew Barry, a senior roboticist in the Spot manipulation team. Quote, "You might teach Spot to recognize litter as distinct from other items in the environment, pick it up, and bring it to a trash can. Dog toys are just a jumping off point to a range of real-world possibilities." Now, Gons, we've been following Spot for a while. It's always sort of been a side idea that Spot could someday be some sort of pet instead of just a utility beast of burden. But, growing up in the late 90s, early aughts, robot dogs to replace pets is not necessarily a new concept. You remember those little robot puppies that you could get?
Yeah,
you're a few years older than me, so I think you just missed.
Yeah,
the
no,
train.
I know what you're talking about. The little silver ones with the yeah. I know what you're talking about. Plus, early on, the Tamagotchi thing was big when I was, or Tamagotchi.
Tamagotchi, you silly goose. Yeah, Tamagotchi. But this is a little different than the actual robot dogs. But fun fact, those old robot dogs, I forgot what they're called, but those little toy ones, they were such a hit in Japan, I believe, that when they stopped making them, there's a whole secondary market for repairing these little robot dogs. They're incredibly expensive. People value those things quite highly. But enough about that dog. This is about Spot. Now, we've sort of tracked the idea that not only will robots replace humans, but they could also replace pets. I don't know why. That's just the unstoppable march of progress for the sake of progress, I guess. And the fetch thing is kind of funny because, I don't know. I think fetch is more for the dog than it is for the person. At least it seems that way. Am I right? Dog person?
I mean, in terms of what? The
I think the dog gets more entertainment out of the game of fetch than the human does.
Playing fetch. Yeah. It's to get the dog to run around a little bit, have a little purpose in life. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. A little purpose in life. Wow. If there's not a metaphor there, I don't know. But the interesting thing about Spot playing fetch, Spot gets no enjoyment out of this. There is no happiness being brought into the world by Spot chasing down an item. In fact, this would be a game entirely for the person who owns the Spot. And I think, I don't know, I smell psychological operation, guys.
Oh, really? You smell it? It's just covered, drenched.
Training the human to play fetch instead of the human training the pet to play fetch.
Yeah, and for those of you just listening, the video is pretty pathetic because it has this guy.
It's excruciating.
It's a horrible. He throws a little. What is it? I don't know. I don't even know what it is. A little dog toy, chewy thing. He throws it maybe 5 feet in front of him, and then the robot Spot takes a couple steps, uses his robot arm head, leans over, picks it up with his little hand claw thing. Takes 2 steps to the right and drops it back down.
Yeah. And if you thought that hearing Gons explain that process was boring, trust me, it's more boring watching it.
They had to speed the footage up 10x to make it, a 30-second clip to show the robot Spot doing it like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. And to be clear, we understand that the robot Spot currently at its current form is not ready to march down the streets taking over the world, but it's more about the psychological operation of presenting robots as viable alternatives, not just to pets, but also to humans. And I think this is just one more step in that whole play, Gons.
Well, if you put if you put together a graph and you have a normal dog, it's kind of a standard line, like a normal line of, hey, this is a dog playing fetch. The curvature of Spot can only go up and towards the real dog. But once it gets there, it's going to just crash right through it and go vertical. You know what I mean? It's not going to be even with the robot or a real dog.
Yeah,
it's going to just go from, hey, play fetch to go, dig out, I don't know.
Go bury this body.
Bury the body or go dig up something. Yeah. I mean, it's just going to be ridiculous.
Go find daddy some Bitcoin.
Sure.
Go dig up some
physical Bitcoin.
Yeah. Anyways, there you go. There's just the next step in the robot takeover, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Sure. And I will just mention that my suggestion for Basil's Flippy Update was rejected, which is fine. But the story had to do with Elon Musk, who is a theme here in this episode, hailing Israeli startup as the robot future. And there's a company called Bionic Hive from Israel. And Elon was all about it. It's like there's a machine called Squid, which is just a little factory robot that goes around and is able to climb, factory shelves and pick
If
stuff.
You guys thought that Spot playing fetch was boring, you should have seen this video of this warehouse robot. Look, we've done warehouse robots. The only good thing about that article was that it mentioned the words Elon Musk. And you know what? This is not the Elon Musk show.
No, but there's a lot of Elon stories
anymore.
To consider.
Yeah. Or maybe yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, not yet. We're going to get into all that stuff now. But yeah, there you go. I mean, it's all the rest of the stories, along with Elon Musk hails Israeli startup as a robot future, or as the robot future. You can go to canarycrynewstalk.com, look for the show notes. There's a section called Additional Stories underneath the stories we cover. And anytime we shed stories off the regular show to keep it a viable length, we will drop it into the Additional Stories section. Kind of like a, Drudge, when they used to be a news aggregate worth visiting, or